Hello, World Tank Blitzers. It's Littlefinger. Happy Friday, June 23rd. That means it's time for another store review. And yes, I'm back. Took a week off. We got a lot to talk about. Just a quick reminder, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. Notice my subscriptions dropping the past month. So hit that subscribe button. Really helps me out. I've got the G-Sor in the garage here. And this tank is for sale. This is probably the most fun tank in the store right now. Probably not the best deal. So let's see what all of this mess is going on over here. We've got I guess it's really the birthday event, 9 years birthday. Hopefully you guys that have been around for 8-9 years picked your free tank and all of that stuff. But we've talked about this one. This is really interesting because it's like a 90-day event. And it's very difficult, as you can see, to get these kick coins and progress your way up. I talked about this in my last video, but there's obviously ways to get it through the battle pass, through clan missions, through ratings, battles, etc. But I'm not spending any money on this, and certainly don't think I'll get anywhere close to the tier 9 tank. And picking a tier 8 tank and not having all of the top gun just doesn't seem, it doesn't make any sense to me. So anyway, there is one other thing, the birthday present here to talk about. You're getting these tickets for each win, progressing your way up either to the T42 or the Expo Container. Now you can use free XP in order to open this gift here. As you can see, I've done that already. And for the most part, I've gotten gold just about every time. I think I did drop 1,000 gold. If looking at these, the big one that you probably want to get is this Expo Container, I think is what they call it here. Only has a 2% drop chance. We'll talk about that in a second. There are some tanks in here. And as I mentioned before, I primarily walked away with 75 to 100 gold. Did drop 1,000 gold on one of those. On the left side is the gold box here, which costs 1,500 gold. You're gonna get one of these coupons here. So after you've opened 5, you'll get to open a 614 free. The Expo Container here is 10% drop chance. Now we move over to the Expo Container. You're guaranteed to get one of these tanks. So some good tanks in this list, as you can see. Also, there's a couple newer tanks that I don't even have yet. The 452K, Bazinet, Caliban, and you're going to get charms that get 10 charms, and get the 452 guaranteed. So that would be a lot that you'd have to open in order to get this. I'm trying to stay away from spending gold on this, just as you saw, not many tanks in here that I'm going to hit. The nice thing I didn't point out is if you do drop a tank, you're going to get gold in return for those tanks if you already have it. And so working my way up here to the quote-unquote free tank. Got to win a lot of battles here. See, I still have 60 odd battles to go with only 2 days. Not sure if we're going to get there or not. So, not going to talk about the battle pass as we're at the end of the month. And probably a hot topic for several of you that were in my situation here with this free tank. If you had the gold subscription, some people lost their gold subscription by activating this one. So I'm only on day 6, which is why I let the gold subscription run its course, and then I opened this one. So would love to know if any of you were able to get that fixed through a ticket with Wargaming or not. So let's jump into this store here and go all the way up to the top. And we'll talk about this bundle here in just a second, but wanted to talk about the Expo Containers. Feels like this is really expensive for what you're getting here. So like I said, you're guaranteed to get one of those tanks. You're also getting those kit coins, which will help you progress the way up and equip those free tanks. But $60 here for 2 tanks seems kind of expensive to me. 6 of them I guess we're getting the price down here. And this is obviously going to work your way closer to guaranteeing the 752. So I'm obviously staying away from that and recommending you do as well. While it's here, I'm probably not going to scroll all the way down to the containers at the bottom, but I did notice these Alpha Predator containers. This is only a 4% drop chance of getting one of these tier 10 tanks. So keep that in mind. 4%, very low percentage there on getting that tank out of the crates. Moving on, the best deal for gold is going to be these, which you have to fill up. And as we've mentioned the last few times, gold has gotten more expensive in the store. So we're not quite at that 750, but as you can see, these ones here are, because this is a special deal, getting close to that 1,000 mark, which is obviously one of the better deals going on. So if you're in the market for gold, fill these up and use that to purchase gold at the moment. Downside is it's not going to have the kick coins, but if you look at it in comparison to the gold section, you're going to get way more gold per dollar, which is really the most important part. And I'm going to talk about all of these tanks when we get down to the tank section. The surprise here, just want to point out, the surprise is that you don't even know what container you're potentially even going to get. And when you do get said container, it has a very low drop chance. As you can see, the Chimera 3% here, Rampanzer 5%, 114 here 4%. So again, I'd stay away from these crates, which have very, very low drop chances in them. All right, I wanted to talk briefly about these Legends containers. So you're gonna get 5 of them, so it looks like a pretty good deal. 5 containers is only 500 gold per container, but when we look at these tanks, it's the tier 6 battle pass tanks. Not sure, how many of these you already have. It's only 500 gold if you pull a tank that you already have. And when you add all of these up, it's a 5% chance of getting a tank out of this. So more than likely, you're going to end up with, one of these backgrounds or camos or something. Certainly not worth 500 gold. So be hesitant on purchasing that as well. The resources I don't think are any good deals here right now. So we'll skip on over that. Like I've said before, best bet, buy yourself gold, get yourself premium time, and just earn the credits and all of that stuff. So now into the important part, the tanks. So we've got the G-Sor here, $10,000 by itself, or 10,000 gold, and the AMX CDC, which is the French tank destroyer, for 8,000. Add those up, 18,000, or you can buy the bundle here for 16,000. We'll talk about each tank here in just a second. What I do like here is that you're getting all of these 9 equipment slots, which adds up to a little bit of silver, and then you're getting 2 nice camos to go along with that. So let's talk about the G-Sor first. I've played about 45 battles in this. Win rate is not exceptional. Had some horrible teams to begin with, getting that win rate back up. But average damage in this tier 8 tank over 2,000, primarily because it has hash, and that what makes this tank fun to play, right? So you're going to get that 440 average damage off of your premium ammo, and it's got 8 degrees of gun depression, 49 kilometers per hour is the top speed, and it's just, I don't know, it's kind of unique. It's got 2 shell autoloader, and you can pop in some big damage there if you can max those hesh rolls. You're talking 800-900 damage in 2.5 seconds. Pull back, reload, and repeat. Not a whole lot of armor to speak of. Bounce a few shots off of the turret, but outside of that, not a whole lot. I have enjoyed playing it, even though win rate in it currently is sub 50%. AMX CDA, I think I might call it CDC. But This tank is also quite fun if you're like the more mobile tank destroyers. We'll pull up the speed here. So 2600 average damage, 8 degrees of gun depression, and 50 kilometers per hour as your top speed. And we go back to the gun dispersion point 277 before equipment, doing 350 average damage per shot. So it is quick. It gets you to where you want to be on the battlefield early. You can sit there and snipe if that's your play style for a little bit, and then you can use that speed to relocate and get to advantageous positions. And if you look at the sloped armor on this, it does tend to bounce quite a few shots, especially if you can max out that 8 degrees of gun depression, get this sloped back as well. So all around a very strong tank in my opinion, and fun to play as well. So I think both of those things combined together makes this a pretty good bundle. The price is not great. You know, I like to see a tier 8 at 7,500, but with everything else you're getting here and the fun factor added in, this would be my recommendation of purchase for this week. ISU, we talked about this guy here's tier 8 tank destroyer, and it's a little bit more on the clunky side. It's not going to have that speed as with the AMX that we were just talking about. It's got 6 degrees of gun depression, only 43 kilometers per hour as the top speed. But again, like the G-SOAR, your premium ammunition actually does more damage here at 530 with 226 pen. So typically we see the pen go up and the damage go down on your premium. This tank is a little bit backwards in that regard. Huge gun mantlet. If you wiggle this from side to side, sometimes you can bait a shot into the gun mantlet when they're aiming for this big weak spot here. Outside of that, it's going to be your traditional tank destroyer price. But if you look at a tier 8, 4,500 gold, it's not a bad price at all. T4485 for 3,500 gold. Reasonable deal, standard medium tank play here. It's not going to be overly speedy for a medium tank. It's got a little bit more armor than typical, and it's going to have your Soviet gun depression of 6 degrees. So, you know, it's not a horrible tank, but if you're gold poor, you're not a collector, you might want to pass on this. 22,500 gold or $42 for the Super Conqueror. I do really enjoy playing this tank. Not sure why. It just seems to play very, very nicely on the battlefield, but 22,500 is still way too high, in my opinion, for this tank. Maybe if you fill up with one of those offers and, you know, get a little bit of extra gold out of it, you might be tempted to purchase this tank. So 272 is your pen, 400 is your average damage, 0.318 dispersion, just got this space armor here, 10 degrees of gun depression. That may be one of the reasons I really like playing this. This thing does play hills very well for a heavy tank. It's only 36 kilometers per hour as your top speed. But I don't know. It's hard to put into words. It's just a tank that does play well on the battlefield. Primarily, I guess I'm not a huge heavy fan. And this one, because of its ability to play hull down and not rely so much on its hull armor, you know, like some of these pike nose heavies, IS-4s, you know, that type of realm. This tank seems to fit my playstyle a little bit better because that, and also it comes here with some kit coins if that's important to you. Tier 3, the Gross Tractor here. Used to be fun back in the day when we had dirt guns on these tanks, but Tier 3 is really watered down these days with, you know, not much fun in the way of the guns go. This does have a lot of extras to it. We've got an order here that I didn't even see. It's going to get you one mystery container. Not many kit coins here. Does have 25 gold boosters, 7 days of premium time, and you can sell the tank for 1,200 gold. So right there, you know, that's what, 250. Like I do 250 times 15, add that to the 1,200, and we'll divide that by 5. That's only 315 gold per dollar if you buy this and sell it. So not a good deal there. I'd probably stay away from this tank. It's super slow, and tier 3 is just not what it used to be. So we've got WZ111, 2,300 kit coins here. Not a huge fan of this tank. 30 days of premium is nice. How much is this in terms of gold? 5,500 for a tier 8. Price is good for what you get. However, not a huge fan of this tank. It's just kind of blasé as far as playstyle. You've got some armor here in a form of pike nose, some spaced armor on the side. But again, I mentioned this so many times, so many tanks like this heavy tank here at tier 8. So you've probably got 2 or 3 already sitting around your garage that you don't play anyway. K91, super fun tank, 10,000 gold. Seems a little high on the price. 3-shot autoloader in this tank with some very unique armor here. Does get some bounces from time to time. Not so much on the lower plate if you can't keep that hidden. Like I said, 3 shells here, 350 average damage, and 0.293, so and 7 degrees of gun depression. So gun handling on it is pretty good, and 40 kilometers per hour as top speed. So pretty good all around tank. I can't complain about the K91 as far as the tank goes. Having that autoloader certainly allows you to get some shots in, relocate, and you know, hide while you're reloading there. So still seems a little bit high for the tank that's been around for quite some time. And then the double impact here, $28 or 12,500. This one here does not have the kit coins with it. You'd have to spend the dollars here in order to get 46.80 on the kit coins. But let's talk about these 2 tanks. So AMX CDC is a French medium tank. It's got super good speed, obviously no armor to it whatsoever. Damage per minute could be a little bit better there at 22.6. So you're only doing 225 damage per shot, 10 degrees of gun depression, and as I said, 60 kilometers per hour. This essentially is a Dracula at tier 8, probably not as good tier 4 tier. But I've seen people play this tank extremely well, and that's aided by that ability, that top speed, power to weight ratio of 40 is good. So the tank gets around if you haven't played it. And like mobile medium tanks, the tank is a solid tank all around. Keep in mind, no armor though. And then the Skoda T56. I still struggle with this tank primarily because its gun dispersion of 0.355 seems to troll me quite frequently. And when you're doing 450 average damage, you've got a pretty long reload time there of 15.5. This is before equipment. So the penalty for missing shots is severe in this tank. It does have some decent armor. You're going to bounce a few shots in it. But to me, the trade-off there on not having an accurate gun is just not worth it. So I'm mediocre on this deal here. 12.5. Does not seem to be horrible. 85 for Skoda by itself and 65 for the AMX. AMX is probably a little bit more fun, in my opinion, based upon my play style. And then the 7.52. I believe this might have been a free tank quite a while back for... and so it's hard to see this being 17,500. It is a very strong, another autoloader at tier 9, another heavy tank as well. 2 shells in the magazine, 430 average damage, so 860 in 4 seconds. And then you've kind of got this rounded front hull, which does seem to eat up quite a few shots. And it's not a bad tank. 38 kilometers per hour. Other than that, its speed is not great. So the K91 seems to be a little bit more mobile. And I'd probably, yeah, they're both about the same as far as play style. So that's going to wrap up the store. Again, guys, if you haven't, please hit that subscribe button. A lot going on this week. So, of course, have fun out there. Get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.